How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 52 of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, where I, Chris Rickenbaugh, am your host, and I am documenting my journey in real estate and business while also talking about travel hacking and personal finance. So before I get into today's show, go ahead and follow me on all the socials on Instagram and TikTok, as well as YouTube, where you can listen to the podcast. And you can also listen on Spotify. Also, if you go to figuringitoutfinance.com, every podcast will get uploaded, so you can go straight to that link to where you can check out every single episode. So getting into today's topic is why I joined Cam Cathcart's Deal Flow Mentorship. So if you don't know who Cam Cathcart is, he's a little bit new to the game, but he was on the Better Life podcast with Brandon Turner, and it was one of the earlier episodes where him and his wife got on there and they shared their story about how they got into real estate and flipping houses. And, I really connected with that. Episode because they talked about where they were in life at that point and feeling like, well, what do we have to lose? So they went from, being in a lot of debt to flipping tons, or I think over 100 houses in 1 year, and pretty much from 0 to 100. So, I really liked that episode because they talked about their mindset where they were at, what they had to do to be able to get started. So I really connected with that. And then just lately here, he's now a co-host of that podcast with Brandon Turner. So if you don't know Brandon Turner, just Google him. I won't break down the entire episode on Cam's episode because you can go listen. Highly recommend it. And so go listen to that. And then, what I kind of took from Brandon and Cam, because they both teamed up and they created this Deal Flow Mentorship where they basically teach you how to flip and wholesale houses, kind of how Cam runs his numbers. And now I'm in the group, so it'll be really interesting to see, where that goes from now. And since I'm on flip number 2, I have a couple more opportunities in the works, just waiting to see. Hopefully this week I might have 2 on the plate that look really, really promising. That could be subject to opportunities. But after watching Brandon and Cam talk about how they started flipping houses, Cam broke down on how he runs his numbers on houses. So, as I explained in last week's episode about 2 weeks ago on Flip Number 1 Review, episode 48, I broke down how I didn't make as much money off of Flip Number 1 as I thought and why. So, when I was running the numbers, I thought it was pretty straightforward, but I also went over budget $15,000. So, when I ran the numbers like Cam said in the 4 Horsemen video, it came out that I should have offered about $15,000 less. So if I did offer that number, I wouldn't have got the house. But what I was able to take from that is working with all those people, getting kind of the fundamentals down, and then I still didn't lose money. So it was a profitable investment. But really, I was able to take the basics from that and then apply it to flip number 2. So when I ran the numbers on flip number 2, with Cam's numbers, it actually came out, and it was probably the first of probably 20 houses that I looked through that I was able to kind of go through and run the numbers on, and that actually made sense. So as soon as those numbers hit and I confirmed it with my agent and my contractor, they said, yes, you should do this. So I went ahead and got it under contract, and now it is in week number 2. So with week number 2 on the way, going back, flip number 1, I went $15,000 over budget. I bought it for $144, and I should have bought it for about $125. So it was right in that ballpark of the $15,000 to $20,000 number. And then flip number 2, we bought it with that ARV in mind, so after repair value minus the exactly what we know it's going to be for the renovation costs, which is going to be right around $120,000. We took out a bathroom, so that saved us about $7,000. So now we have a little bit of that budget in there in case we went over. So that budget's getting eaten up a little bit now. So now that factors in holding costs. We had to get a dumpster replaced, which isn't cheap. It's about $500 to $600 every time we have to bring in a new dumpster. So that got filled up super quick with the demo work. And then we had to spend $2,000 to get yellow jackets removed from the wall. So that $7,000 to where we took out one of those bathrooms, making it a five bed, 3 bath instead of a 4 bath. We're saving a little bit of money, but we're also putting that money to work in other places. So that's what I took from, being able to run the numbers. So I know his numbers are legit, and I know what he does is legit. I listen to him every week on the podcast and starting to learn a little bit more about him. I have the first intro call today, but another big reason to why I joined it is because of the guidance on creative deals. So being in a really tough, I wouldn't say tough market, but a really competitive market, you have to be able to get a little more creative on the deals rather than just finding these cheap houses, fixing them up for $20,000 to $30,000, and then putting it right back on the market and making $20,000 to $30,000. So you're just not going to really find that in this area. So you're going to have to get a little bit creative. So how are you finding those deals? Is it Facebook Marketplace? Is it putting signs in the yard? Is it dialing direct numbers, which I have the opportunity to? So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys say and what these other people are doing to be able to go find leads and find deals, and then just being able to close on it. Because I never got into wholesaling, but that's something that they talk about a lot. So I think it's going to be ending up something to where, hey, if I come across this situation, I can recognize it and not just turn away from the deal and still make money off of it. And then for flips, it's going to be pretty straightforward. But something I don't think where they're going to touch is some of the opportunities that I have this week, which is subject to, which is basically just taking over that person's mortgage. One is about to go into foreclosure, and then the other is just asking about $50,000 to $60,000 over asking price. So subject to allows you to do that, but you have to get a little more creative. So that's why I'm pretty eager to be able to brainstorm with these other people on how they're doing it, how they're getting deals done in competitive markets. So the guidance on creative deals is going to be huge. And then just being in a community that's going after the same goals of making money through real estate. So whether that's wholesaling, whether that's flipping houses, it's going to be fun to be around the same people doing the same thing. And it's a paid mentorship. So it's, you're going to be around people that are serious about doing it. And then the accountability scorecard that's also in there, they're going to be holding us accountable, and you're going to be able to see exactly what you're doing every week and if it's getting you closer to your goals of getting that next deal. So making this a little bit of a shorter podcast, that's about all I got today, but I'm super excited to get started. Joined it over the weekend, and that's Cathcart's Deal Flow Mentorship. So super excited to get started on that. And I'll be back on Wednesday with the second half of the 4-Hour Work Week book breakdown and how it impacted me. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 days for episode number 53. This is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off for the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. We'll see you next time.